The reason why we're bringing forth this resolution is back in the summer, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules met 3 different times. Actually, the dates were June 2nd, June 24th, June 30th, and July 1st. We had 3 different hearings within the summer on these proposed rules that the Public Service Commission has promulgated. These rules are brought forth because of what happened with Proposition C. The responsibility of the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules is to work on procedure and not policy on any rules. The Joint Committee, after looking at all the rules and working with the PSC on several of the rules, which many of them were fixed, it came down to 2 different paragraphs within the rules. And the issue that is in place is in regards to geographic sourcing. The Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, anytime that we disapprove a rule, it has to fall within 3 parameters. The 3 include there is an absence of statutory authority, 1. Number 2, the rule is a conflict with state laws. Or 3, it's so arbitrary and capricious as to create such a substantial inequity as to be unreasonably burdensome on the persons affected. The Joint Committee on Administrative Rules very seldom disapproves rules, but we did on these 2 different paragraphs. And the reason was for all 3 reasons. It didn't conflict with just 1, but it did with all 3. Beyond statutory authority, it conflict of laws, and it was so arbitrary and capricious that it caused a huge undue burden on the folks involved. This issue is not about policy, it's about procedure. The last time that a House concurrent resolution had to be brought forth was 2003. So as you can see, this is something rare. It doesn't happen very often. The Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, our only opportunity as a checks and balances within the executive branch in regards to rulemaking is to the Joint Committee Administrative Rules process. It's been going on for roughly 36 years. So this is something that we've been dealing with for a long time, and it's been in place, and it's been effective. But occasionally you have commissions or agencies that overstep their bounds, and in this case, this is what happened. In regards to the policy aspect of geographic sourcing, this is something that needs to be debated within the legislative body. It's not about jobs being outsourced. It's not about any of this. It's about making sure that the PSC is not legislating. Their responsibility is to regulate laws that is within their statutory authority, not legislate things that have not been decided yet. And this is all that we're doing. We have to pass this resolution in the first 30 legislative days, and that's why it's been at an urgency. You know, there's a companion piece over on the Senate side that had a hearing last week, and this is ours. I do want to point out that actually last week I sat in a meeting with former Attorney General John Ashcroft, and he made a statement that I thought was pretty important. And he said that well-meaning people get by regulation what they either can't do or should seek to get by legislation. All that this does by disapproving these rules is making sure that the body that's supposed to legislate actually does, and the body that's not supposed to legislate does not.
I've been getting a lot of people talking to me about this, concerned on both sides of the issue, and about jobs and how it's going to affect our state and all that. But you're saying that this resolution is focusing more on the technical side. It's not a matter of jobs. It's a matter of not abusing the system or making sure that the channels are used properly. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely correct. This is not a policy debate. This is all about procedure. This is about whether the legislative body is going to grant a commission to legislate things that we should legislate. The statute's not clear on geographic sourcing, and this is something that the legislative body needs to address, and not the Public Service Commission.
I want to start today by offering my most sincere and deep apology to this committee and to the General Assembly that we have to be here today. With that apology, I want you to be assured that most of the stakeholders in this process, the utilities, the industrial consumers, the Office of Public Counsel, who represents consumers, as well as Commissioner Jarrett and I, have made every effort to follow the true will of the voters that was enacted in Prop C and to correct the issue that is now before you. Since we're here today, unfortunately, we failed, and for that, again, I apologize. Like each and every one of you, as a public service commissioner, I take an oath to support the Constitution and uphold the laws of this state. I take that oath very seriously. Prior to my service at the Public Service Commission, I spent 6 years working for State Senator and now County Executive Steve Ailman, and then President Pro Tem Peter Kinder. I was there where you are now, trying to interpret statutes and make sure that agencies follow the law true to what the legislature intended at the time those laws were enacted. Last week in the Senate Rules Committee, some of the renewable energy supporters took offense at my comparing them to train robbers. But make no mistake, what you are witnessing here is an attempted robbery of the ratepayers. They are here saying, stick them up. We want to stick it to the ratepayers, make them buy all of our electricity. Commissioners, you need to be able to raise our rates 6-7% a year, or as much as 20% in 1 year to help pay for all this. It's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to do this. As a lawyer and someone who's been doing this for more than a decade, I'm equally as offended at the notion that my interpretation of the statute is incorrect. And those who find such comparisons uncomfortable should take an honest look at what happens when the voters approve one thing and then get the bait and switch pulled on them, as has happened here. On November 4, 2008, Missouri voters went to the polls and adopted a renewable energy standard that required Missouri utilities to use renewable resources to produce our energy and to cap the amount of money utilities spend in meeting those requirements at 1%. When the voters adopted Prop C, Missourians set a standard for responsible stewardship of the environment and fiscal conservatism. Those 2 points are woven throughout Proposition C. They are inseparable.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Richard Moore on behalf of the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We'd like to go on record in support of the resolution.
I have a question. I'm just asking for curiosity, your reason for supporting this resolution, the Chamber of Commerce.
The Chamber had, this summer, had policy councils in which our membership put our positions into a formal document, and the Board of Directors approved it. As far as the details behind that, I was not with the Chamber at that time.
Okay. Thank you.